Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be looking at the top 5 most powerful werewolves in all of vampire wolf fiction, basically of all time. Now this wasn't an easy video to make as there are many choices for the most powerful werewolves of all time, let alone just one single franchise. However, I have managed to narrow it down to my top 5. I changed my mind once or twice, but I'm pretty confident that I've got the ultimate top 5 list of the most powerful werewolves of all time. So let's kick it off with number 5. The Werewolves from Hell. I only seen Hell once, but I'll never forget how vicious, unforgiving and overall just how powerful the werewolves from that movie were. They are absolutely terrifying. Less hair than your typical werewolf, which shows their physical prowess. The Hell werewolves stand at over 7 feet tall, have elongated limbs and beast-like teeth. They are incredibly smart, agile and strong, able to throw humans a fair distance with just one arm alone. They are ruthless creatures who do not hesitate by any means. The Hell wolves are super intimidating, striking fear into the souls of those who unfortunately come into contact with them. They have succumbed fully to the lycanthropy disease and pass on the infection through biting the host they intend to turn. They also live and hunt in packs, with each member having a pivotal role to play, which can lead to them being replaced. This occurred when one of the male werewolves from the pack gets killed when boarding the train. Later in the movie, Joe, one of the passengers and main antagonist, gets bitten while defending himself and becomes infected with lycanthropy, taking on the role of a new male. Joe was chosen due to his fighting spirit and fearlessness, something the pack values highly. They don't just bite anyone, only those chosen, and actually tends to kill the majority of their victims. They are able to quickly recover from mortal wounds, and although looking like beasts, their skin appears as if the flesh has mutated with their limbs into the creature we see in the film. These creatures deservedly take their place at number 5 on my list without question. Number 4. The Shapeshifters from Twilight. Say what you like about Twilight and its sparkly vampires, but make no mistake, the Shapeshifters who transform into giant wolves are not a group to be messed with. Not technically wolves due to their ability to control their transformations instead of the uncontrollable full moon transitions that differentiate themselves from the children of the moon. The Colette wolves are not to be messed with. They can run at speeds undetectable to the human eye and are incredibly strong, being able to tear apart the marble-like flesh of a vampire. They have rapid healing from any sort of physical injuries, so cuts, gashes, anything of that kind will heal almost instantly. It's the same story for broken bones. However, if the bones broken are substantially out of position due to crushing, for example, they will heal incorrectly. The wolves also regulate their body temperature a lot higher than humans so as to bear the colder, darker Forks climate while also allowing them to dress in as little clothing as possible. They can see, hear, smell things from miles away, and on a special note, vampires have a distinctive scent that shapeshifters are aware of both in human and werewolf form, finding their scent uncomfortable to the point of pain, a sickly sweet smell that kind of burns. They have 24 pairs of chromosomes, one more than a human and one less than a vampire, but the same number as vampire hybrids. The exact nature of the extra chromosome is unknown, but it may carry the genes needed for the shape-shifting abilities of the bearer. I'll be honest, due to their sheer power and speed, I moved the shapeshifters up and down this list before settling on number 4, but it was a very fine line between 2nd and 4th, and I think I made the right decision. Number 3. Fenrir Greyback. Now I'll admit I juggled between Greyback and Remus Lupin for which Harry Potter werewolf would make this list, until I realised I was being an idiot, as it was clear as day that Fenrir Greyback was the nastiest, most unforgiving, soulless werewolf that I've ever come across, which is why he takes 3rd spot in this video. This individual actually took pride in infecting as many vulnerable victims as he could. He even placed himself in heavily populated areas during his monthly transformations in order to ensure that he'd infect several people at least. Now, werewolves from Harry Potter completely lose their humanity when they change, even killing their best friend if they were close enough to do so after their transformation. Greyback reveled in such behaviour when in werewolf form. He loved not knowing who was going to be in his path, who was going to become his next victim. Greyback actually wanted to make an army of werewolves in order to mount an assault on the Ministry. He loved the taste of human flesh, loved human blood, and was even known to attack people while in human form. He was so in touch with his werewolf side that he began appearing more and more beast-like. He loved infecting young children and watched them grow into the beasts that he could control as they age. He was actually the werewolf who infected a 5-year-old Remus Lupin with lycanthropy as revenge for anti-werewolf legislations sanctioned by Lupin's father. Fenrir was nothing more than a ruthless savage with an overwhelming lust to project as much carnage as he could upon the world. He wasn't civil, he wasn't nice, he was truly a monster who, despite having his humanity more than his werewolf mindset, embraced every part of lycanthropy that he could. While Remus Lupin seen it as a disease, Greyback viewed lycanthropy as a superpower. There was no way I could make a most powerful werewolf list without this individual on it. Number 2. Werewolves from the Vampire Diaries. Now, these creatures are extremely powerful, and while some of you may debate their position on this list, there's no debating the amount of damage that Vampire Diaries werewolves can cause. Seen as a curse more than an actual gift, due to the extremely painful and slow transition into werewolf form, the creatures lose their humanity when transformed and will kill or bite anyone who comes close to them. What makes these werewolves so dangerous is the fact that they can infect an individual in werewolf or human form. The same goes for vampires, who obviously can't be turned into werewolves but are still susceptible to the werewolf venom nevertheless. The bite is actually fatal to a vampire, killing them in approximately 48 to 72 hours, the only cure being a hybrid's blood. As the werewolf gene is a curse, it's triggered in hereditary carriers when murder is committed or they consume fresh blood. Werewolves from the Vampire Diaries can learn to break the cycle transformation with the moon by forcing their own transformations at will over and over again. This is incredibly difficult to do and can take up to 100 times before they can transform without the unbearable pain that comes with literally every bone breaking in their body as they merge into elongated limbs. The Vampire Diaries werewolves have a very intricate and interesting backstory with lots of lore, twists and turns throughout the novels and the TV series. When Klaus begins creating his werewolf-vampire hybrids, he takes the species to an entirely different level, but as for the werewolves themselves, there's no doubt in my mind they deserve their place on this list at number 2. Number 1. The Lycans from Underworld. I don't think there was any other contender for the top spot here. The werewolves on their own were huge, vicious powerhouse beasts, trapped in their wolf body, unable to return to their human form. However, it's their evolutionary form, the Lycan, that steals the show and that takes the top spot here. These wolves had it all. They have it all, really. Lycans display inhuman physical strength, speed, reflexes, endurance, and agility. They completely overwhelm vampires when one-on-one, and the only thing that surprises me is how long vampires got away with enslaving the Lycans to their bidding. Their most unique power is their ability to turn at will, though they usually turn at night anyway. The moon could only affect and forcibly transform a Lycan that had not yet learned to control their transformations, though they could use the moon's influence to change when weakened in order to heal. The most powerful Lycan of them all being, of course, Quint Lane. Quint has the ability to change into a werewolf more than twice the size of a normal Lycan with much greater strength due to the presence of the Corvinus strain in his blood. His full lichen form closely resembles that of a first generation lichen, having more hair, more musculature and a longer muzzle, and being mainly quadrupedal. He also has enough control over his transformation that he can actually turn only his hand and can presumably change other parts of his body as well, which is absolutely incredible. Quint Lane is a monster. Literally, he is on another level in terms of how much flexibility he has in terms of his own power dynamic. Out of everyone on this list, he is the last one I'd want to encounter, and I'm sure you've just seen why. That's it guys, that's my video on the 5 most powerful werewolves in all of vampire werewolf fiction. If you would switch out any of my choices, then let me know who you would switch for who. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.